I'm going to get started right away. I'm not going to wait for anybody to join in. People that want to watch the replay, that want to get real information, or are you going to trust somebody on your screen that you do not know and will never meet in your life and does not care about you? Me, I've gotten to meet a lot of people on here, and a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people that'll probably stop in that have known me my whole life. Why would I mislead you? Why would I try to hurt you? I wouldn't do that, okay? Because you people that are here listening to me right at the moment are here for a good reason, and I'm willing to help those people. Hi, Shanny girl. Thanks for coming. I could just glance at my chat, and I usually glance over to look for the red dot in case somebody wants to come up to the panel because it's easier to talk to somebody because I can't read the chat, not while I'm driving. A lot of information and a lot of things that happened in the past couple of days that typically a lot of people do not know, and a lot of Americans don't know, or they know of it but didn't watch it or didn't pay attention and realize and dissect what was going on without a biased opinion, like myself. Um, Politically, I'm neither side because neither side cares for you or me of the tree. Now, you can think that they do. You can think that you're just like them, but you must understand that you're not. It may not be said out loud, but class society still exists in many countries around the world, including here in the United States. It's just not talked about or said. And I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about class. I'm talking about the ultra elite rich with all the power and control, and the 99% who do not, which is me and everybody that's probably listening to me right now. Now, you may not like to be put in that situation or hear that. Sure, nobody wants to hear that, but it's the reality of it. And you can pretend all you want that you're not, a part of the 99%, that you're just like those rich people, or one day you're going to be well to do. Unless you win the lottery or you invent something, never going to happen. Never going to happen. That's the reality of it. Because the American dream is not obtainable. It's not obtainable. Not anymore. Not like it was when I was a kid. It was still somewhat attainable. But I like to share what I've learned over the years so people can benefit from that. And some people, usually use information like this to make money. I can care less. I'm not in this for that. I'm not in this to push a narrative. I'm not in this to help somebody that does not care about you or me, the tree. I'm here to help the people in my class. My class would be the poor and what's left of the middle class, which is the working poor. I know a lot of people that just work their tail off and just barely be able to put food on the table and a roof over their family's house. That's pitiful. But what happened is, there was some Congress got together over a bill that they want to keep the government running. But there were a lot of things abstracted from that bill that was going to help the mass of American people. Well, they can't do that. So they abstracted that out, one party did, and still went to make and made it still sound like it was helping, the greater American people. No, it only helped farmers and people that were affected in North Carolina, because that has to be addressed. But to help your, American people, the mass of American people, to afford things, in the grocery store. Well, we can't do that. We can't do that. Whenever a bill comes, I don't care what it is, it's only going to help a tiny minority of people and not the mass of American people, which it should be that way. It's like you people are going to get the $800 billion bailout where you're going to lose your home and you're not getting nothing. That's the American way. Leave no billionaire behind. Always remember that. Now, you that do not live in the United States would think about that and think, I thought the American people were massively Christian. Well, it makes you ask that question now, don't it? In reality, what would Jesus do? That's another one I would say. Also, what makes me worried and should be worrisome for all Americans because it's going to trickle down. How quickly? I don't know. China just dumped $113 billion in treasuries. That's massive. Why? Because they're wanting to get away from the US dollar, just like a lot of other countries. Now, mind you, it's not the Chinese fault that this happened. It's not the Chinese's fault that they own 2/3 of our debt, of our national debt. Well, I take that back. Not 2/3, but a good chunk of America of the debt. See, it wasn't the Chinese government that came to our government and forced them to sell that much of debt to them, which was over $1 trillion. It wasn't the Chinese that decided that. No, our own government. Our capitalistic government, which, as unstable as capitalism is, had to go to the Chinese communists, what they call them. When you say that to a Chinese, they have no idea what you're talking about because they'll tell you haven't achieved it yet. They went to the communist Chinese government to save them from the instability of what capitalism brings. Maybe a few moments of thought, but not for the people here in the United States. They demonize these people. It wasn't the Chinese that forced the American company Apple to make the Apple iPhones in Beijing. Steve Jobs decided that. But the mass of American people see fit to blame the government for that. And all the blame should be laid on the doorstep of Steve Jobs for that. It wasn't the Chinese government that forced our auto industry to move over there, manufacturing over there. 40 people in the big three boards of directors of the big three auto companies, Ford, Chevy, GM, Chrysler. They decided that. 40 people on a boards of directors decided that. Not our government. But $113 billion dump of treasury bonds. Well, I'm telling you, you may not feel it right now, but it's coming. I'd say no later than after the new year that it's going to be felt massively. And all what the political parties are going to do is point the finger at the other guy and not accept responsibility for it. Because it's all of them. It's not this party or that party. It's all of them. Because the Democratic Party already proved that they turned their back on the working class. They sold out the corporate interests so they can try to win elections against the other ones that are bought off by the same people. So it doesn't matter who wins. The corporate elite are going to win. It's like going to a horse race, right? There are two horses in the race, and you bet on both of them. Doesn't matter who wins. You're going to win. Anyway, just to let you know, I'm in Florida. I am 30 miles north of Disney World, taking a scenic route because the interstate takes you way out of the way, and it's like I'd rather cut through. But I see now that this was a mistake because traffic is just awful right here. What it is I got a master Nardi load where I delivered in Lakeland, Florida. As soon as they unloaded me, which took them 10 hours, as soon as they unloaded me, they loaded me back up for a load to take up to McClinney, which is by Jacksonville, Florida, at a Walmart DC. I delivered there. They rejected 2 skids of grape cherry tomatoes. These things are really, really good. You guys would enjoy them if you like tomatoes. They're perfect for going in a salad. They rejected them because of their color, because a lot of them are orange. They're not red. I mean, you can pick through them, get all the red ones out, but the orange ones, I mean, they're still good, but they're just not as sweet as the red ones would be. So they rejected those 2 skids. So now they told me this morning, take them back to the O1. I'm like, sure. They paid me, almost $600 to take them up there, which is only 180 miles. I said, I hope that they're going to pay me that much to take these back, because I know they're going to have me sitting waiting to get these 2 skids off me. And there's a good chance my next load coming right out of there. And this time I'm going to ask them, if you wouldn't buy it, if you know that typically people would not buy this produce, don't put it on my truck because it's going to get rejected. I know this because I used to work in the grocery business years ago in the produce department, and I know what people will buy and what people will not buy. And I know the people that are from the Philippines listening to me right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you folks know how to buy produce. You know how to buy fruits and vegetables. There's no question there. Y'all always buy the best and taste perfectly, because I've been there and that's what I learned. That's why when I tried mango in a different country for the first time in my life, but I tried mangoes here in the States. They're green, they're not ripe, and they taste bland. It's like bleh. When I went over there and went ahead and said, okay, I'll try the mango again, I was expecting the same thing. No, it was sweet. It tasted really good. And I'm like, this is what mango tastes like? That's what a lot of Westerners figure out about food. It's like, no, no, no. If you try this way, the way they're doing it, big difference. Another thing that when I was in the Philippines that I learned was tuna. I ate fresh tuna for the first time on the beach of Coron. I will not eat that canned tuna that we sell over here ever again. There's a big taste difference. The fresh tuna was just dynamite. It was out of this world. I'm like, this is tuna? They're like, yeah. All you did was that they put the fish on the grill and just cooked it. And what you did was you went over there and you pulled some off. And I tried it and I'm like, whoa, this is really good. What fish is it? Tuna? This is tuna? Yeah. See, the tuna I'm used to is you buy it in this small can about the size of a hockey puck and you pop it open and it's oily as hell because that's the preservative they put in it. And when you try it, it's like, it's all right, but does not taste nowhere near good as the fresh tuna that I had in Coron. That, oh my God, that was so good. And I'm like, I'm not eating that crap out of a can ever again. I'm serious. You come over here to the States, you buy a mango and try it. Even the people in the Philippines would be like, I don't know what that is. That's garbage. That's not right. That's not ready to eat yet. I think the reason is the big difference between the food that's so much healthier there versus here is over there in the Philippines, it's not pumped through with a bunch of preservatives and a bunch of high fructose corn syrup. That's why it's so much healthier to eat over there. Here in America, we put all those preservatives and crap in it that's going to kill us, or that is killing us. But mostly, I wish people would join me and want to discuss it. Is the 113 billion that the Chinese dumped, and that's massive. That raises a lot of eyebrows. But to my fellow Americans, let me tell you what to look forward to come early February, late January, early February. Massive tax cuts, not for you, but for the big people like Elon Musk, Jeffrey Bezos. You know, if you're not a millionaire billionaire, you're not getting the tax cut. They are, but they want you to cheerlead them on for it. That's why I tell people. You see them on the TV when they're all standing. They just got done signing something, a bill, or just made it a speech, and they're up there laughing. And a lot of people that supported them think that they're in on the joke. No, no, no. You don't understand. You're not in on the joke. You are the joke, even though you supported them. That's why I tell people I'm not into BDSM. I don't like people to be beside my ear and whisper sweet nothings to me as they're slitting my throat. Now, unless you got unusual taste, this is not a good idea. I'm not into that. But economically, it trickles down and it's going to affect everybody. Now, you can prepare, you can prep, you can do all this stuff to try to soften the blow. The only ones that are going to be shielded by this is your ultra elite rich, which is not you and not me. You're not the beneficiaries. And I asked the same question. In 50 years, well, let's put it for realism, 54 years since I was born, I asked people if you were alive and coherent enough to know what was going on since that year, 1970, give me one thing that was positive for the massive working Americans in this 54 years up until now. And everybody's sitting there like, exactly. There isn't anything. Why? Because actually, I gave it a good effort and a long time and to look into it. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing good has happened for the massive working American people. They take from us and take from us and take from us. Inflation erodes anything that you think that you're getting paid more for. It may look good on paper, but when you account for inflation, you're not better off. And in some cases, you're worse off because the inflation eats away more than what you're going to receive. But to my foreign friends, this is what America produces: garbage in, garbage out. And then some of my other fellow Americans, oh, he hates America. No, I don't hate America. I'm critical. Being a patriot isn't somebody that wraps themselves in the red, white, and blue and claims to be an arch patriot and say everything good about one's country. No, no, no. The greatest form of patriotism. This comes from Thomas Paine, the greatest patriot that ever lived in America. Thomas Paine. You read his journals. The greatest form of patriotism is dissension and being critical. Not being stupid about it, but being critical enough to know, like, uh, this isn't going to help us. This is going to hurt the mass of American people and only benefit so few. But this could also be going on in everybody's country. Maybe at a lesser degree, maybe at a more of a degree. I don't know. It's something that you should look into instead of just giving up. All I can do is talk to you guys and people that I've come across in the truck stop. Like I ran into two foreigners that I guess became an Americans, and they were arguing about the so-called illegals and our president's going to make our country great again. Whatever that means, I have. What made our country great? What made our country great? Being the melting pot of the world, so all cultures and races would stop killing one another over that issue. We got to kill these people. They got a different colored skin than we do. We got to kill these people because they got slanted eyes, or we got to kill these people because they got big lips, or we got to kill these people because they're undereducated. They're primitive. Are we ever going to get out of the caves? Is my question. Or these people believe in a different God or God that I don't believe in? Or, does it really matter? And the 1930s was the start of making it to where that's we were great. Yes, we put the mass of American people back to work. And it wasn't capitalism that did it. Capitalism fought against it, actually. But it takes credit for it, which is an irony, because if capitalism is what started it, then why are we in such shambles right now? Because we're in a capitalistic society, economic system. But when you were raised for 80 years to celebrate capitalism, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread, never question it or never be critical, just be go back to watching TV. There's nothing to see here. In reality, there is a lot to see because I can take you through it. And when I take you through it, it's not going to be something you're going to want to hear, but you're going to have that feeling like this is something that I should have known all along, or I've known parts of, but didn't get a full understanding of because I was taught to believe and accept without question. But I'm worried. That really got my attention. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but China dumped 113 billion in treasuries. Yeah. And then Congress is arguing over a bill right now that's either going to shut the government down or keep it open. But if you know the bill, instead of it being masked, um, come February, there's going to be a massive tax break for the top 1%. Not for you or I, but for them. They're going to tell to make it sound like everybody's getting this tax cut. No, no, you're not. These people that people support these people, you'll never meet them. And if you manage to get to meet them within about 30 seconds or less, you're going to be forgotten about after you just shut their hand if you're lucky to even touch them. They don't want to know you. They don't care about you. But you can think that they care about you all you want. But I'm giving you the reality of it. It's like this. A lot of even when your favorite celebrities, you meet them, and a lot of times people get downright disappointed because I've witnessed it. It's the same thing. Very, very rarely, when you meet a celebrity of any stripe, it doesn't matter what they're in, do they continue to have a continuous, meaningful friendship with that individual? Very rarely. There's only one, well, two actually, that I've met that remembered me and everything about me. One was Eric Singer, the last drummer that played for Kiss, because when I met him and we were in the bar the night before the convention take place, he sat next to me and we talked about ice hockey in Cleveland and everything, where he originally was from. We talked sports, we talked like normal. And then 15, I didn't see the man after that convention. And then 10 years later, I meet up with him again. He knew exactly who I was. I guess, a guy like me, you don't forget. The only other one celebrity was Al Snow from the WWE. The only reason why he remembers me is because he's from Lima, Ohio, which is about 30 miles north of me. And one of his favorite places to shop is a place called Trader's World off of I-75 between Dayton and Cincinnati. And that's one of my favorite places to go shopping. It's a big flea market. And typically during the summer months, I'd go took my kids down there when they were real little at the time. It's been years since I've been down there. Me and Al Snow kept bumping into each other. I first met Al Snow at a hockey game at Irvin J. Nutter Center in Fairborn, Ohio, which is part of Dayton. And he was signing autographs between the first and second period. And he was doing a show called Tough Enough. And he had a competition where you made your hand look like the OK symbol like this. And if you looked at it 3 times, you're eliminated. Well, I gigged him, and he laughed about it. He goes, "Wait a minute, you didn't do this or this." But we were laughing about it. I said, "Yeah, me and my coworkers, we gig each other all day long with it." That's where I first met him, and he signed and autographed a picture for me. But almost every weekend that summer, I kept bumping into him down there at Trader's World. And I'm like, Yeah, Al, how did you remember me? He goes, I've never met another man the same size as me pushing a baby buggy around. At that time, I was pushing my oldest daughter, who was about like 2 or 3. She was the only child we had at the time. Mom went to work at that time. We'd go down to Trader's World and do some shopping. I'd buy, maybe some knickknacks or, you know, buy some fresh fruits and vegetables or, you know, a couple of movies on DVD that are very difficult to find. I'll tell you what, when I went to Trader's World, I found some movies that I didn't even know were on DVD, and I was like, wow, I bought it. That's what's good about Trader's World because you can find things that you don't think that are being made or are still available anymore or used per se. You can find it there, just about anything you can think of. But those are the only 2 celebrities that I met that still remember. Probably, if I bumped into them today, would still remember me. But out of that, most celebrities do not care and aren't going to remember you or care to remember you, let alone somebody in the government. The only way that that's going to happen is if there was something that would make them and their campaign look really good, which is nice. I mean, like, okay, you did that for that one individual. What about the rest of them, of people that are just like them? Oh, we can't talk about that. See, I talk about politics in a way that isn't against you people and me, which the class that I'm in would be the working class because I work for a living. I don't live off of a surplus that my employees make for me. That doesn't interest me, and plus, my conscience tells me, and you know, I really don't practice a lot, but I'm Roman Catholic. That my Christianity tells me that that's not a good idea. But I mostly center everything with me when I talk about things like this is economics, because that's what everybody should be talking and thinking about instead of all these foolish, harebrained notions. These talking points. You're only talking a small minority of people. Is that really going to solve our problems of what's going on? Not at all, unless you address it. And I do. The economy. Because you fix that, then everything else just will naturally fall into place. It's like one of my favorite musicians said in a concert once. There are 3 things you need to have. Number one is you gotta have the attitude. You really gotta have the attitude. Number two is you gotta have the spirit. And number three comes naturally because if you have number one and number two, then dead shit on the grill comes naturally. Now, me and him don't agree about a lot of things, but there's a lot of things me and him do agree on that I took that words of wisdom from. Why? Because he witnessed firsthand what happened. Because his parents were a part of the auto industry, but ended up retired before it turned to shit. He comes from Redford, Michigan. And what made his career, and a lot of people and musicians during that era in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you look at it, a lot of big stars came out of the state of Michigan, which was, I would say, the epicenter of our economic system of working class people. It was the Mecca. Good place to grow up, good place to live. Everybody worked. But that all changed. And what made all those people that came from Michigan, Ted Nugent, Madonna, Steve Miller, or no, not Steve Miller, Bob Seger, ICP, Kid Rock. There's a lot of them that just came out of that area in Michigan. They all grew up from working middle class people in the auto industry. Okay, they know what made their career was the fans, yes. Why? Because they were able to afford to buy the tickets to their concerts and fill stadiums. Now, today, that is getting very difficult to do. They don't fill these multi purpose stadiums anymore like they once did. Why? Because the people that had those jobs making that money don't have that kind of money to buy tickets anymore. They're feeling it. That's why a lot of them have retired, or they're playing overseas because that's only where it's profitable. A lot of your major sports teams are starting to feel that pinch. People literally having to mortgage their houses just to get a bleacher seat at a baseball game. That's awful. I remember when I was a kid, shit, you just gave your kid $5, $10. They can go to Wrigley Field, get a ticket in the bleachers, a hot dog, and a large drink, or a couple of drinks, and a program, and the cost of the train to go to and from. $5, $10 back in the day. I remember that well. Now, shit. It takes more than the average paycheck that people make in a week to pay for that now. And it's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. I wish it would get better. I really do. You know what people say about Donald Trump, our now incumbent president that's coming into office for his second term. I really wish he could do what he talks about, but he's not going to do it. No president will do it. Why? Because they don't want to end up like JFK, for one. Because when you get something like that, it's going to take more than a president to make changes that are going to be good for the mass of American people. It takes a movement, just like what FDR got. When you got the mass of millions of people behind you in a movement and you approach the president, that gets the ball rolling. And Obama got it because he had said, if I get the movement from below, I'll take action. Well, he did, and it was called Occupy Wall Street. And those people, they put it right up front, 99% against the 1%. But Obama, where he fell off with me, is he turned his back on those people and bulldozed them out of many parts. In over 350 cities across America, he did that. That was another thumb to the nose to the American working class from the Democratic Party. And I'm like, I've had it. That's where I gave up on both political parties and will never vote for them again. The last few times I voted for president was Ralph Nader and then Jill Stein, past couple elections, because they were independent. Oh yeah, it will. That's the only constant that you can count on. But these same people that have screwed the mass of American people will try to out Jesus you at the same time. And you're like, really? You obviously didn't pay attention to Sunday school. But their version of the Bible is all made up and saying that Jesus came here to make us rich. No, he didn't. That's why I say I don't ever claim to be the model Christian or my shit don't stink or anything else of that matter. But there are some things I do hold to be true, and I can't go there. I cannot sit at a table and enjoy a good meal while my fellow man sitting next to me is starving to death. There are some people that can do that. A lot of Americans can do that, and they're champions at it because they can ignore that the person that they can pretend that the person doesn't exist beside them that's starving. No, what makes me and this has happened to me at truck stops. I go in to have a meal at the truck stop, and some of them still have buffets and or smorgasbord, depending on what country you're from. I had this elderly black man, looked like he was a truck driver also, didn't have any money, and he asked me, "Can you buy me something to eat?" And he looked hungry. He looked weak. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "I'm buying his." And we sat for an hour, had a good meal together, talked. Why? Because my Christianity upbringing told me that that's the right thing to do. That's the Christian thing to do. He wasn't asking for money so he can buy himself some fentanyl or drugs or alcohol. He just wanted something to eat. I'll do that. I'm assuming he was a truck driver because I did see him go through the doors where the truckers go to their trucks. Now, there are some truck drivers that are literally broke. Yeah, they're making money, but some of them were so far into debt that they're trying to get out of, and some of them managed to do it. A lot of former college students that were so eyeballs deep in debt because of the student loans to pay for their college. I said, you give this a good shot and you stay out and make money, you'll have that paid for in a year or two. And sure enough, a lot of them got out of college debt. But it's not for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. It's what you're able to handle mentally and physically, especially the mental part, because there's a lot of sacrifice involved. The years I had watching my kids grow up was stolen from me, and I'll never get it back. But I sacrificed it to make sure that my kids had what they needed to have a good upbringing and pushed in a direction for a good life. I sacrificed that. You can't expect everybody to do that. Not everybody can. And as they gotten older, my two oldest, they totally understand why daddy was away, why dad does what he does. And they're very appreciative of it. Only a few people know, if I can find it. I thought it was here. Not there. I was reaching too high. I'll never forget that. Yeah, it's here somewhere. But two people, well, three actually, Darren, Sheer, and Sammy are the only ones that have seen it because I showed it to them. But nobody else has read that my daughter gave me when she graduated from high school back in the summer of 2023. In the graduation ceremony, you got all the parents filling the stadium, and the students are out on the floor sitting in their chair in their cap and gown. Halfway between the presentation, they started playing light piano music, and the kids all walked away from their chair into the stands where their parents were. And all of them, if with the exception of one, they all went to their mother and gave her a flower and the card with a note in it. I was the only one where the child went to dad, not mom. I kind of knew that in the end, I knew that was going to happen because my daughter's always been a daddy's girl. She loves her daddy. She came to me. She handed me the note and the flower, gave me a hug. I kissed her on her forehead and told her I was proud of her. And I was dressed in ceremonial Native American garb then. There was only, I think, one other that did the same thing, and because they're Cherokee. But anyway, she handed it to me. I handed the flower to her mother, and then I opened up the envelope, and it was an index card, and wrote what they wanted to on that index card. When I read it, I put it back in the envelope, and I looked over at my son, and I said to the lady, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I get out?" I acted like I had to go to the restroom. No, I had to leave. I went outside into the parking lot away from everybody because if you're a parent and you finally hear the words or read the words that you needed to hear from your child about way life is and the way it was going and what you did, and when you finally hear it, it really socks you in the chest. And what my daughter wrote on that is everything I needed to hear because that was what I was hoping that she would understand, and she did. That's why I still have that. It's in one of my cabinets here. I can't remember which one. But as a parent, believe me, it will get to you. You become a parent for the first time in your life, it will change your life. Some people, it leaves me scratching my head. It's like, why did they have children in the first place? And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them that live in my town because a lot of them hang out with my kids and try to stay, with my kids and my to whether they can get a good meal or the adults actually talk to them like human beings instead of screaming and yelling at them or looking at them as a burden. They're like, wait a minute, that's your flesh and blood. I'm like, would you want your parents to have treated you that way? A lot of them don't think of that. Me, my parents were good. They were strict, but my parents were good. I'd have no problems with my upbringing. But I wanted to do better than what my parents did. Did I? I really don't know. I hope. I'm looking at my oldest daughter and I'm like, wow, I did right by my kids. At least I hope. because I know a lot of them. They fall into drugs, prostitution, living out on Kingston Avenue there in Philadelphia, with a needle stuck in their neck and they're passed out. Just glad that none of my kids are going to end up like that. Feel sorry for the parents whose kid ended up like that. But I don't claim I'm better than anybody. I'm living through a life's experience, trying to help and to help people understand and try to push them in a direction to where I wish that, and it could be like that, and that's the way humanity should. We all should be able to sit down with a roof over our head, have a nice meal with our family every night or our friends, and not have to worry ourselves and it affect our health of making sure that there's going to be a meal there or a roof over my kids' house or whatever, a roof over their head. Just what they need to live. That we shouldn't have to worry about that shit. And I'm not just talking about my country. I'm talking about the entire world. And a lot of people don't understand this. And I understand that things are different now. I'm very sociable. I'm a social butterfly. You put me around thousands of people, I'm having a good time. Some people can't handle that because of the internet. They're social, but distant. They're hiding behind a screen. They can talk, but they can remain anonymous. But some people, person to person, have anxiety and can't handle that. That's because they didn't have to learn it or go through it and learn to be sociable with other people. Shoot, that if I'm at a club and with karaoke, I'm having the best time of my life. Sure, the local drunk at the bar that's always drunk there gets up and karaoke's "I'm a Man of Constant Sorrow" from the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou." Totally sucks at it, but everybody enjoys it. And some people, like me and a few others, got in behind him and grabbed a microphone and started doing the backup singing for him. We sucked ass, but it was still having a good time. The guy has the guts to go up there and do that. First thing he would do, his name was Jack, he would come up and he says, "Is everybody having a good time? Give me a hell yes." He kept the good party going, even though he sucked at it. But even though he sucked at it, the more he sucked at it, the more everybody liked it, which was ridiculous in a way. That club doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down. I think they tore it down like 10 years ago. It was called the Glass Crutch. One hell of a name for a club. Knowing it was a glass crunch to hold up your drunk ass, knowing it would probably shatter or break. But to tell everybody, look, you don't have to go to a club and get drunk off your ass to have a good time. Me, I have the best time of my life, and I don't drink at all. Well, I drink Diet Dr. Pepper with nothing else in it. So just a soda pop, bubble water. And I have a good time. There's been many a position that I've been in where I could have took advantage of certain females that wanted to go home with me, but I would not do that. And this is what I usually tell them when they're hitting on me and wanting to go home, this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, I'll tell you what, the next time I see you and you say the same thing, the next time I see you before you've had anything to drink, then I'll listen to you. But other than that, I can't do that. Come back to me sober and then see if you say the same thing. And none of them do. And when that has happened, some of them came up to me and looked ashamed of themselves or felt bad. And they're like, I'm sorry that I did that to you. I'm like, that's all right. Because not all men, real men, are going to take advantage of you just to get a piece of tail. That's not me. Now, I've had some get downright nasty with me. I mean, really pissed off at me. And some of them were appreciative of it. Some of them hated me for it. I'm not going to do that. And I'm hoping that all the other men in here would feel the same. Because a lot of times women, not all of them get drunk every weekend. There are some who do that are functioning drunks, but they're lost. But, you know, when it comes to alcohol and women, that's a slippery slope and a bad situation. And it could be a fun situation. Some of them, you got to keep them under control. It's like, I appreciate that, but look, you would not normally do this or this or this. You would normally not do that. So I'm going to try to prevent you from doing that. Another one rides the bus. Another one rides the bus. Hey, hey. Another one rides the bus. Another one rides the bus. Hey, hey, hey. Now that's a good tune by Weird Al. It's actually another one bites the dust, but he changes to another one rides the bus. Yeah, I just figured I'd do a live stream, throw it up there because I'm here by Disney World, getting a lot closer now. It's a lovely day here in Florida. Just feel sorry for people up north. They're getting bombed by the snow and the bitter cold temperatures. Me, I'm in a t-shirt and my shorts, and it's 70 degrees. A comfortable 70 degrees. Not hot, not cold. Got a little bit of a breeze. Perfect. Humidity is really low because sometimes it can be 70 degrees down here and you're sweating your tits off because the humidity is atrocious. That's happened to me a few times. Take off my t-shirt just like you took it out of the washing machine. You twist it and some of the sweat just drips off the shirt. It's like, this is ridiculous. I'm missing a contact lens and I think my wallet's gone. I don't remember the lyrics, but it's a funny tune. There isn't any room for me to breathe, and another freak's come on. Let's like a cow. Another one rides the bus. And another one comes on, and another comes on. Another one rides the bus. Yep, got to take 2 skids back to where I got this load from. I'm hoping that my next load would be an orange juice load out of Bradenton and take it somewhere. If I go up north, I'd prefer to go to Minnesota. I could use going up back up to Albert Lee, get me some more ribs at Skull. Got the best ribs in the world. Went up there today. Just give me the ribs. Forget about all the sides. I just want the ribs. And when you eat the ribs, and you can't even eat the sides. You're so stuffed. It's like, oh, I can't eat anymore. You don't want any corn? No peas? No, I don't want none of that. Just give me the damn ribs. Because in reality, what I've been talking about, we all sink and swim together. What affects you economically is going to eventually affect everybody. You're in a crowded room and one person farts. Sure, you're on the other side of the room. You're not going to be affected right away, but eventually you're going to be smelling it too. You'll be one of the last ones to, but everybody ends up smelling it. Just a good euphemism to use. It's kind of disgusting, but it makes its point. Because when that happens, everybody around that person that did it is cussing up a storm and creating a ruckus, and everybody on the outer edge is looking around like, what's going on over there? And a few minutes later, it drifts over to you, and you're like, oh my God, yeah. Oh, by the way, Disney World, this is Interstate 4. To my right would take you to Tampa. To my left would take you to Orlando. Um, you couldn't see anything anyway, but to my right was Disney World before I went under the underpass. It's way over there beyond the trees. You can't see anything from here, but I know it's there. Delivered there a few times, but never went to Disney World as a guest to enjoy anything. I was in the warehouses right behind the Epcot Center. It looks like a giant golf ball on a tee, and then you got the the tree line, and then beyond it is the warehousing buildings. I'm hoping to go there again. I got lucky that last time I went there, a couple of the characters were, taking a break and they were hanging out with their friends at the warehouse. One of them was Minnie Mouse. I should have got a picture with him. Hey, here, I'll give you all $20. Take a picture with me, especially Minnie Mouse. And that sunlight just kills the eyeballs. Whew, there we go. Yeah, when I started this live stream, I was like 60 miles out. Now I'm just a couple of miles away. It'll be over here on my right. And have to make a right hand turn, and then another right hand turn. Go all the way back to the parking lot, turn around, probably park next to all the other trucks that are there, waiting to get loaded or unloaded, or both. I don't remember this, but better do it. Ugh, I hate it when that happens. My trailer's hanging out in the other lane. They'll go around. It's a red light. Just have a couple of old farts with their Geritol ass come up here and try to yell at me in my truck. You can't do that while I'm doing it. Now I respect the elderly, but when they get out of hand, I'll deal with them appropriately. You always respect the elderly, but there comes to a point where you got to tell them and put them in their place. And it's like, look, nothing you can do about it. I'm doing the best I can. But don't let the gray hair fool you. I've seen some old men knock the hell out of some young punks before. I didn't feel good about it, but when I sold my house in Florida, which I owned for a year, spent only like 15 minutes in it. It was in a D-restricted neighborhood, and I had my bobtail there. Old man in a walker, and he was really old. You can't park that here. I'm like, sir, I'm here to sign the bank papers and get my check, and you ain't never going to see me again. I've owned this house for a year. You wondered why it was so quiet over here. So he wanted to stand in front of my truck to stop me. And his wife, with the cane, was yelling at me from the door. And I said, old man, get out of my way. I will run you over. Backed up a little bit, put the diesel to the truck, and boom, went right around him. He did throw his walker at me, but costed him because it broke a leg off of his walker. Like, you shouldn't have threw it at me, dude. By the time the police get there, they're not going to care. Another one rides the bus. I really don't like that turn there because it's almost like you got to turn the freaking truck around. So I use the turn here. And I don't want the trailer to end up in a damn ditch and roll over either. And there it is. Right back to square one. And I got to check in with them. Hey, can you get your cherry tomatoes off my truck? And two other drivers that were with me here, we ended up in the same place last night at Walmart. But the good thing is, I made it out of Walmart before they did. Wow, they only got 3 trucks getting loaded? Nobody's waiting. I'm gonna park around here this way. That Volvo is still parked on that ramp. But the load I got out of Laredo, Texas, I brought here, I was sitting here waiting around for 8 hours after my appointment time at 10 in the morning. 8 o'clock that night, I was getting unloaded and then reloaded. I bet you the yard jock says, wait a minute, I remember that guy yesterday. Yeah, these cherry tomatoes, you shouldn't even have had them put on my truck. They knew they were going to get rejected. Because me as a consumer, I sure as hell wouldn't buy them. All right. Let's see here. Take that, take that. And I'm going to end my live stream. Thanks for coming. Hopefully I passed along some information. You guys can look it up on YT. I'm sure you can find plenty of videos of it. But I'll talk to y'all later. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.